If at any point during this video, for some reason, you can tell that my tongue is blue, that's because I foolishly ate a candy cane right before filming. Hello, my name is Elise, and I'm going to be going over some January 2021 book releases that you probably won't want to miss. January's already been a great month to start off the year for book releases, and I'm going to be listing quite a few of them. Full disclaimer, I've only read a couple of the books I've mentioned because January has just been a busy month for me, especially with school starting, but I really do intend to read probably all of these books because I've been looking forward to them and they all sound great, and I'm sure they are all great. But I hope some of these sound interesting to you, and let's get into it. So the first few books I'm going to mention were all published on January 5th. There's quite a few of them, so I guess January 5th was the day to publish a book if you're going to publish a book in January 2021. But the first book on this list is called One of the Good Ones. I did read this book, I listened to it as an audiobook, and I didn't know too much about it going into it. It's marketed as the movie Get Out meets the book The Hate You Give, which is super interesting, but just as a brief summary, it's about three sisters, and one of them is named Kezzy, and she's super active politically, and she has this YouTube channel where she talks about her activism, and one day she decides to go to this protest. None of her family members want her to go because they know it'll probably be unsafe, and unfortunately some bad things do happen at this protest. Kezzy gets arrested and she is taken to jail, and while in jail there's an incident and she dies. This is of course very sad, and the beginning of the book talks about her other sisters grieving and trying to remember Kezzy and dealing with all of this shock, and they go on this road trip in memory of Kezzy. But there's some very surprising twists in this book, and that's all I'm going to say about it right now because I think it really works best if that's all you know, because then the twist will just hit you. The next book is called Lore. I haven't read this yet, but I do have it downloaded on my Kindle, so it will happen soon. But it's by the same author who wrote The Darkest Minds. I do own that book. Never got around to it, but I remember when it was super popular back in the early 2010s, and I thought it was interesting that this author published a new book because I haven't heard about her in a while, so I'm excited to read this one. And then just a brief summary based off of the reviews I've read. It's about these gods who are being punished for a rebellion, and their punishment is that they have to walk on the earth among the mortals, and then every 7 years there's this competition that takes place, and the competition basically is that any of the humans who have descended from these gods can try to kill the gods to steal their powers. I thought that sounded super cool, and it gave me that almost dystopian feel from the early 2010s when The Darkest Minds was written, but I've seen really good reviews, so I'm excited for it. The next book is called The Awakening of Malcolm X, and this is another book I do have downloaded on my Kindle, so I will be reading it eventually. Again, I was just a little behind this month, but it's actually written by one of the daughters of Malcolm X, and it's supposed to be about Malcolm X's time in jail. I don't know too much more about it. I tried to read some of the synopsises of it. Is that the plural synopsis? I don't know. Anyways, I tried to read a bit about it, and I couldn't exactly tell what kind of format this was written in because it kind of sounded like it was a biography, but maybe like a story. So I'm not sure, so I'm really interested to see what this approach is. The next book is called The Prophets, and I actually own this book, which is nice because I feel like I haven't read a physical book in so long because I've been reading so many ebooks and ARCs, which are also digital. But this is about two men who are slaves in the South, and they fall in love. Clearly that is forbidden, and it's about the relationship and struggles, and I think there's some other themes I read in reviews. But yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one because I keep hearing the writing is gorgeous. I think it's more like a poetry kind of feel from what I'm getting from the reviews. I did see one review say there's some magical realism in there. Not sure because I haven't read it, but I think all of that sounds interesting, and I always love really beautiful writing. Next is Bedazzled, and I've been hearing so much about this book. So many people have been so excited for it, and it's a YA contemporary, it's queer, and I think it takes place around this cosplay competition, and I think the main character is supposed to be super crafty and clearly is into cosplay, and there's a relationship going on. I think it goes in between past and present. I'm not really sure because again I haven't read it, but I've been seeing a lot of fantastic reviews for it, and some of the reviews I read specifically said it was a fun book, and I think that sounds great. I love fun books, especially fun contemporary YA books, because that's pretty much my favorite genre. The next book is called Happily Ever Afters, and when I read the synopsis for this book, I just thought it sounded so cute and so wonderful, and I really want to read it. I just looked and my library does not have it, so hopefully eventually. But the synopsis on Goodreads did say that it was great for fans of Jane the Virgin, and I loved that show so much. I watched every single episode, and yeah, I hope those similar vibes are in this book. But it's a YA contemporary book, and it's about some teenage girl who loves to write. She makes up all of her own stories, and she's accepted into this writing program. But when she gets into the writing program, she just cannot think of anything to write. So her friend suggests that she needs some real life romance to find some inspiration. I think that sounds adorable. The next two books I'm going to mention were all published on January 12th. There's a lot of those too, so I guess January 5th and January 12th were the days to publish books. But the first book that I'm mentioning is called Chlorine Sky, and this is a book in verse. It's young adult, and I love young adult books in verse, so that's why I want to read it. But looking deeper at the reviews and everything, it says it's about toxic relationships and losing friends and coming of age, and literally those are my favorite subjects ever. And I don't see many books that are specifically about losing friends. I see a lot of books about tumultuous romantic relationships, but not a lot about friendships. And that's really a theme that I specifically look for in books. So I'm excited to read this one because I just don't feel like that's talked about enough in books. I've heard quite a few people talk about this next book. It's called Clues to the Universe, and it is a middle grade novel about this girl who loves science, and her dad also loves science, so they had this relationship around doing science-related things and building robots and everything together. But one day her dad unexpectedly dies. And then there's another character who doesn't really like science, but he really loves this graphic novel, and then finds out that his dad might have written the graphic novel. Only problem is that his dad left many years ago. So the two characters become unexpected friends. So from what I understand, it's about grief and bullying, and I just think this will be such a emotional, sensitive book, and I'm really looking forward to it. The next book is a prequel, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. It's called Concrete Rose, and it's the prequel to The Hate You Give. I am so excited to read this one because I read The Hate You Give the day it came out because I was just looking forward to it for so many months, and I loved it, and I was so excited how popular it became. And I remember watching the movie in one or two of my classes in high school, and I just thought that was amazing because it was a book I enjoyed since day one, and I can't wait to go to the prequel and read about some very familiar characters. The next book is called Every Single Lie, and I did read this one, and I just want to say right now, this book is fantastic. It was my first 5-star read of the year. It is a YA thriller / mystery, and it's about this girl, Beckett, and she's kind of not the most liked person, but one day she is skipping school, but then she remembers she has a test to take, so she runs to school, but then some event changes her life. She sees a duffel bag, and in this duffel bag is a dead baby. This totally changes her world and becomes an entire scandal throughout her small town. But the problem is everyone thinks the baby is Beckett's baby and that she killed her own baby. According to Beckett, this is not the case. All of the lies and the rumors and the gossip are just spreading like wildfire. And in fact, it gets so big that it blows up on the internet, and everyone all over the country are talking about this dead baby and maybe someone murdered it, and was it Beckett? So this is about cyberbullying and family and friendships and rumors, and I just really appreciated it because it was a thriller. I mean, like, every single page mattered, and I kept turning every single page. Like, I literally was like when all the twists came, because it was just so unpredictable but worked so well. But the thing that really distinguished this book for me from other thrillers is that the thrill was a main point in the book, but there were so many other themes in this book, and I just thought it was so great, and I literally wanted to tear up at the end. It was fantastic. 100% recommend. The next book is called City of the Plague God, and I just checked it out from the library, so I can't wait to read it. But it's one of the Rick Riordan Presents books, and it's about Mesopotamian mythology. I don't know anything about that kind of mythology, so I'm really interested to see what that's about, because most of my mythology has been Greek mythology, and I'd love to see what other mythology is like. It's set in modern day Manhattan, which is being threatened by the god of plagues, and I thought that sounded super interesting. And I haven't read a book like that that's based in mythology since I read Percy Jackson, so I'd love to get back into it and see what this author has to offer. The next book was published on January 19th, and it is called At the Edge of the Hate. I did read this book and enjoyed it, and it is about a girl named Maddie who is 20 years old, homeless, and in San Francisco. So one day she is out with her dog named Root, and they witness the murder of another homeless boy. This event totally changes her life because all of a sudden all these people want to talk about what had happened to this boy and want to know what she saw. This is very different than her rather simple life that she was living before, because now so many people are being involved and trying to get to know her, and it really just changes her relationships with other people, both people that she previously knew and now some new people. I thought this book was really good, and it tackles some very serious issues and gave me such a better understanding of homelessness, but it was also a relatively quiet book, which I really liked because I love quiet contemporary books that take very heavy issues and show them through some personal lens. So I would highly recommend this book, especially for young adult readers. This is marketed as an adult book, but the writing was simple and reminded me of young adult books. So if you are a young adult reader who is interested in some adult books, I think this would be a great one for you. So the next two books are going to be published on January 26th, and I know this date hasn't come yet, and I'm uploading this video before January 26th, but January 26th will be coming soon, and I can't wait to read these books when they are released. But the first one is called Wings of Ebony, and this is about a girl who discovers she is half god, half human, and then there's some evil in her town and she has to deal with all of that. But I really wanted to read this book because most of my, well actually, all of the books I've read about demigods have come from Rick Riordan. They're all over here. And I'd really like to read a book about demigods that's not from Rick Riordan or not from his Rick Riordan Presents series line thing. Nothing against him or those authors. I just think it would be nice to see something from a different author. And then lastly is a book called The Girls I've Been. I think it's a YA thriller, and I think there's some LGBT representation in there, and it's about a daughter of a con artist who targets men who've done crimes, I'm pretty sure. Don't know too much about this, but I've really been into YA thrillers recently because I've had quite a few experiences of YA thrillers being disappointing, but the past few YA thrillers that I have read have been fantastic, so I think this one's going to be good. The reviews so far have been good, and I'm looking forward to it. And that is the end of this list. Again, I know I haven't read too many of these yet because it's just been a busy month, but I really want to. These all sound so great, and congratulations to all of these authors on their new releases. I hope you guys read some of these too. Let me know if you've read any of them already and if any of them are super good and if I should read them right away, because I would love to. But thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you next time. Bye bye. But all of the lies and the drama and the gossip is just spreading like wildfire. But all of the lies and the gossip, but all of the lies and the rumors and gossip is just spreading like wildfire. But all of the lies and the gossip and rumors are just spreading like wildfire. But all of the lies and rumors and gossip are just spreading like wildfire. But all of the